Hey everybody, it is June 6, 2007. I'm Sonic Suns, and I got a little philosophical thing for you here. Talking in terms of several topics, one of them being choice versus destiny, and do we have free will or not? This ties into existentialism, and does everything have any meaning, or is it all just pointless? And being pointless, that kind of ties into nihilism. Obviously, I'm using these terms kind of interchangeably. But there's one idea I kind of have which addresses several of these things at once. I call it the parable of the snakes, and it goes like this. A man was walking in a field where there were many types of snakes, and all of them were deadly. One of these snakes bit the man, and he fell to his knees as the poison started flowing through his veins. The man began to despair. For although he carried with him an antidote, it was an antidote that worked only on the rarest snake of all. The man thought, why bother? Why bother even drinking this antidote? What chance does it have of saving me? There are so many types of snakes here, and only the rarest would be stopped by this vial I have in my hand. I'm going to die anyway, he thought. Why should I even try? But then the man realized that if he did not take the antidote, his chances of survival were even lower. Though the snake for which he had an antidote was the rarest of all, perchance it was that type of snake which had bit him. Perchance it was that poison which flowed through his veins. And if so, it mattered very much whether or not he took this antidote. It was the chance between life and death. And if it was indeed one of the more common snakes, then it mattered not whether he took the antidote, for he would be dead either way. So the man took the vial in his hand, and he opened it, and he drank it all. And whether he lived or died is of little importance to the story. The point is, he made the right choice, and he had hope. And this applies, I think, to a number of things. For instance, the first thing I mentioned, free choice. Now, either we have some degree of free choice, right, and we can do things one way or the other, in some sort of inscrutable fashion, because choice is kind of inscrutable that way, isn't it? It's not really predictable. It's not actually really random either. It's just choice. Either that exists, or there's a destiny. And everything is going to happen exactly the way it's going to happen, regardless, right? Well, if there is such thing as choice, then it matters very much whether or not we believe in it. If choice exists, then I have to say to myself, oh my gosh, choice exists, and then I can make good choices. If destiny exists completely, and it controls everything, then it doesn't matter what I happen to believe on the existence of destiny, because that must have been destiny that caused me to believe that in the first place. So, logically, I have to assume that choice does exist. You see? Just like the man, he knows that logically there's an incredibly small chance that this antidote is the right one. But there's absolutely no harm that could come from taking this antidote, right? If it's the wrong antidote, he's going to die either way, it doesn't matter. If it's the right antidote, then it matters very much. So, he has to assume it's the right antidote. He has to drink it, on the assumption that it'll do something. You just have to hope. That's his only chance. So I have to assume that free will exists, because that's my only chance of doing anything. You see what I mean? Not even to generally think of success or failure, but that's my only chance of having any effect on anything, in any sense. So it's kind of out there. It also goes into the existentialism and nihilism. Is there a point to anything? Is there any meaning? Is there any essential, some sort of completely empirical good and evil that we may not really know about? We have a very fuzzy idea of what it is, but maybe it's out there, right? Well, if it's not out there, then we've got the wrong antidote. If there really is no such thing as good and evil, if nothing has any meaning at all, then it doesn't matter whether or not I believe in the existence of good or evil, right? If nothing has any meaning, and I believe that things do have meaning, it doesn't matter that I believe things do have meaning if nothing has any meaning, because that belief in itself doesn't have any meaning. So I have to assume that there is some form of meaning in the world. Some general good and evil. And you want more good and less evil in the world. Because if there isn't, if I've got the wrong antidote, it doesn't matter if I drink it or not. So I've got to assume that I've got the right antidote. It matters very much whether or not I drink it. And I've got to drink it. In this case, being the analogy, believing in the existence of some sort of purpose, some sort of meaning. Very interesting how this plays out. Now, it only works in a few extreme scenarios, because you can't use the parable of the snakes to prove that a particular thing has meaning, right? That a particular thing is good or bad. You can use it to prove the existence of good or bad, and also free choice in general. They must exist. We must assume they exist. And there's nothing. It doesn't technically and logically prove the existence of meaning or the existence of free will, but it proves the logical nature of assuming the existence of the aforementioned things. You see? By showing that, well, if these other things exist, if it's destiny and if there's nihilism, then nothing matters, right? It doesn't matter what I believe on these topics. Then I have to assume, just like this man, by the parable of the snakes, I must assume that both free will and purpose exist in some manner. It doesn't say anything more specific, but it does tell me that, that nihilism and existentialism, as I understand it, there are various forms of existentialism, and all these other things are bunk. By the parable of the snakes, we have free will. We must assume that we have free will. Or each of us individually must assume that I, individually, have free will. And that there's something worth working towards. Because if there isn't, if we have the wrong antidote, if it was some other snake which bit us, then it doesn't matter either way. So the only logical thing to do is assume these things. Thanks for watching. See you later.